Hello, welcome to another Lenten Daily Devotion with Pastor Andrew. That's me today, March 29th, excuse me, Tuesday, 2022. We are in our week of shoes. Yesterday we talked about sandals. Today we're going to talk about, I'm not sure. Sandals. More sandals. Imagine that. Sandals in the New Testament in the Bible. What? So, and actually, if we were in worship, this last, is that right? Yeah, this last Sunday, it is the story of the prodigal son. Prodigal's son. Yes? Good. So 15:11 through 24. And Jesus said, there was a certain man who had two sons. The younger son said to his father, Father, give me my share of the inheritance. Then the father divided his estate between them. Soon afterward, the younger son gathered everything together, took a trip to a land far away, and there he wasted his wealth through extravagant living. When he had used up his resources, a severe food shortage arose in that country, and he began to be in need. He hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. He longed to eat his fill from what the pigs ate, but no one gave him anything. I always love this. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired hands have more than enough food, but here I am starving to death? I shall get up and go to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Take me on as one of your hired hands. So he got up and went to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with compassion. His father ran to him, hugged him, and kissed him. Then his son said, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. But the father said to the servants, quickly bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Fetch the fatted calf and slaughter it. We must celebrate with feasting, because this son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Here's the reading. So the one thing we don't have in there is the older son's reaction, but that's okay. We're focused on the shoes, the sandals, all those things that are happening. Just some brief thoughts on this. I wanted to get it into my sermon this last Sunday, but I just couldn't quite find a right way for it to fit. Plus, I think it just would have opened more doors to other tangents that we can find in this parable. But, about 2 weeks ago, the gospel reading was about the fig tree. The owner of the land comes and the gardener is there, and he says, this fig tree is not producing fruit. Get rid of it. And the gardener says, give me a year and let me take care of it. Let me see if we can get it to get fruit from the tree. If not, then we can cut it down. So what does he do? The tree itself is living, right? I mean, it's healthy as far as we can tell. And it's living off the nutrients that are in like the regular soil. But what do gardeners, what do they use? They use enriched soil or manure. I find it's interesting, and if you know me, I'm all about connections. So what does this tree need to grow, in a sense, the metaphor here, in faith? Those extra nutrients. Could that be us, finding our place? Are we the poop? It's like this is where Jesus meets us, in the poop. And out of that comes some glorious things. Now, connected to the parable of the prodigal son, where does the younger son come to his senses? In the midst of pig slop, pig poop. There, in the midst of poop, things grow. Faith, coming to his senses, these things happen. So basically, in the blank, even there we can find God. And in fact, maybe God is more in those things that enrich us. I don't know. I'm kind of working with that. And if you're watching this, then you are privy to that. But isn't that interesting? Because, as I said in my sermon, in the mess is when we feel that we really need Christ. And perhaps this is where we're called to turn to Christ to say, what's going on? Turn to God and say, what's happening here? I don't get this. Several things. I'm angry with you. Why is this happening? All those big questions are in there. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, and as I look at the time, I've taken up too many minutes. So, the prodigal son, what does our devotional writer have? Of course, the focus, verse 22, the father said to his slaves, quickly bring out the robe, the best one, put it on him, put the family ring, on his finger and sandals on his feet. New shoes. People get excited about new underwear. That's true. When I asked our youth group what they learned while serving in various ministries across the city, the teenager on the mission trip who'd spent the day distributing clothing at a center for those experiencing homelessness responded, people really get excited about new underwear. Yes. Sorry about that. I had a phone call. Very exciting. So the prodigal son, talking about shoes. For some reason, everything locked up. People get excited about new underwear. I just wanted to say, again, a little bit of a tangent there. One of the churches I served in, there was an annual, I don't want to call it an expo, but it was like an expo with all the nonprofits and organizations that provided for the community. And our church was involved in that. And the thing that we collected and we gave out were underwear and socks. You had several people that were struggling a bit financially, what have you. Some of the homeless population. The town I lived in was only maybe about 8,000 people, but like 15% of those people were homeless. Just an amazing amount. And we would give it out, and everyone would almost just rush our table because those are the things that we don't, those of us that give and whatnot, those are the things that maybe we don't think about. And that's what a lot of people would say. Socks. So many people would say, I have so many shirts and I have pants, but the thing that's really hard to come by is socks or underwear or, of course, bras and things like that. So it is, and even I get excited about new underwear, Anyway, now you know that about Pastor. Okay. Yeah, people get excited about new underwear. The rest of our band of volunteers giggled, but I am not sure that was the desired reaction. This participant tended toward the serious and thoughtful. Perhaps he did want to impress his peers with a quip about underwear, but his answer revealed that he had nonetheless noticed the impact of something everyone in our group no doubt took for granted. Despite his shy demeanor and reserved manner, he rarely talked in our nightly gatherings. He expanded on his initial impression. New socks really make a difference too. He paused and added, and you know what? New shoes. The giggles gave way to serious conversation. Living on the streets eats away at people's dignity. Walking everywhere not only wears out shoes, it damages feet. Hygiene challenges persist when access to showers, bathrooms, and toiletries is scarce. Used clothing fulfills the purpose of covering and warmth. But who wants used socks or underwear, right? Doesn't everyone want shoes that are their own? No, are theirs alone? The young man who had distributed clothing that day lamented that there had not been enough new items for everyone, noting the visible disappointment of those who'd miss out. New socks, new underwear, and new shoes could not only make someone's day, they also could enhance someone's health and restore someone's dignity. Sometimes something new signifies that someone is valued, worthy, and noticed. This familiar story of the prodigal son Tales of a young man returning home expecting to be shamed or relegated to secondary status, but who instead receives an unmitigated welcome. New clothing, new shoes, and a party. His father sees him, runs out to meet him, and wants only to show him how deeply valued and beloved he is. Grace never does just enough. By definition, grace overflows, explodes, exceeds, gratuitously manifests in unexpected ways. Grace is exhibited by embarrassing public displays of affection, weeping in joy, running in welcome, new robes, new rings, new shoes, a huge party where all are invited so that no one could possibly question their value or belovedness. People get excited about new underwear, new socks, and new shoes. People get excited when their inherent value and dignity, their individuality, and their God-given worth is honored with welcome, celebration, and new shoes too. So I'm looking, usually we have 3 questions, but they did it once again. 2 questions, but several mixed in there. One of you experienced a sense of being valued and beloved. Beloved. How was that expressed? Have you ever been surprised by a gracious response when you expected judgment? Have you ever offered grace to someone expecting your judgment? Yeah, so really some big questions in there, but questions that that this parable often brings up for us. What is it like to experience grace, give grace? What is it like to have that given to us? Give it to someone else instead of being judgmental or instead of us being judged. What does it mean to be valued and beloved? And how is that expressed? How do we value others? How do we share with them they are beloved too? All those big questions in there from this absolutely important and chocked full of so many things story, parable. We close in prayer. God of grace, you run out to meet us in love when we anticipate having to beg for your mercy. You see our uniqueness and know our value as your children. As we bask in your embrace, marvel at our new clothing, and celebrate at the banquet given in our honor, our excitement grows. Knowing the joy of such grace, we look to live in ways that cause your mercy and goodness to explode and overflow into every corner of our homes, community, and world. Amen. Really good one today. Tomorrow, good. This is a good one too. Tomorrow, that first chapter of John. Preview. John 1:19 through 28. Right after those first opening, powerful 18 verses of just complete history of God and us and our relationship and Jesus. These 18 verses that just sum it all up. Everybody always quotes John 3:16, yet it needs context. Here you have the whole history, which is John's introductory purpose. Here's God. Here's the Word, Jesus. This is how long they've been here. They're actually outside of time. All those things. Now here's Jesus' ministry story. So that even is a sum up of it. Okay. Anyway, until then, God bless.